Thank you.
Okay, so
141 had not been
Okay, starting, we're streaming.
I want to thank everybody for coming. It's the 17th of March. And it's 3:32 in the afternoon. It's the Motor Vehicle Subcommittee. We're just going to go quickly because we have to, and we're getting really down to the wire. The first bill that I'd like to start with is 1081. That's Delegate Boyce's bill, Baltimore City Vehicle Laws Towing Bill. Patrick, I think that we are okay on this bill. Are there questions about anything? Are there any amendments? I'm pulling it up now.
So we only took the
Questions have been answered, if that's what you're asking.
What's that? I'm sorry.
My questions have been answered, if that's what you're asking.
Okay, I am.
And
Okay.
Are there any amendments?
no, if I could just be transparent,
Yes, please.
Patrick, because he's so on point, was worried that we may have already had this authority. And so he checked in with the city and got his answer. So we're good.
Okay.
Move the bill.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Great. All those in favor of the favorable on the bill, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstention? Bill carries. 1081 is passed. Let's go to 813 Montgomery County Delegation Speed and School Bus Monitoring System. That's a local bill MC 03-22 HB 1013. Any amendments on this bill, Patrick? I'm looking it up now.
This bill is all amendments.
All amendments.
This is the one on Delegate Moon's bill that struck the median language and required an analysis and a report by the county, and then to discover the 10 highest stops, and then to make recommendations and adjustments to fix them.
Okay, so it's kind of a bit of a study.
Right.
Okay.
I'm sorry, is this 813 you said?
Yes.
Yes, it is. 813. Okay,
Move the bill.
thank you.
Second.
Thank
Well, you got the
you.
amendments.
Okay, so Delegate Love, could we move the amendments first?
Oh, sorry, move the amendments.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor of the amendments, is there any discussion on the amendments?
And just to clarify, Mr. Chair, these amendments make this a study to determine.
Yeah, I think the bill already does that, but yes, in the end, that's exactly what it is.
Thank you, sir.
Move the bill as amended.
Mhm.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify, let's do this. All those in favor of the amendments signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions on the bill as amended? We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Okay. On the bill as amended, all those signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? 813 carries. 1076 Delegate Weibel's bill, Vehicle Laws, Electronic or Digital Transfer Registration. That's 1076. Patrick, this seems innocuous enough.
Yeah, this hold on a second.
Authorize the motor vehicle administration to issue electronic or digital 24-hour registration, authorizing an owner vehicle to operate a vehicle on a highway in the state. That's basically if a
A trip
vehicle
tag.
is sold or something like that, it gives them a temp tag for 24 hours, right?
Oh.
Yeah, when you buy something at an auction or a private sale, something like that.
And you
Move
can
the
take it.
bill. Second.
Second.
No amendments, right? It's clean, Patrick?
No amendments.
Okay. First and a second on the bill. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, great. 1076 passes, and it passes without said delegate. We'll have to tease them later. HB 1314, Delegate Mott's Vehicle Laws Pilot Program to evaluate alternative registration plates and cards. My understanding from this bill is it allows some kind of a sticker or something on the front bumper, or as opposed to a metal license plate. For those people that do not know, this committee every year or every other year, someone comes in with a bill to eliminate the front license plate because Pennsylvania and some other states have eliminated their front license plate. And every year that bill comes in, SHA comes and testifies against it because they really like the front license plate in the state of Maryland. So I think this is kind of a little bit of an interesting compromise. It's the first time we've heard the bill. Patrick, am I missing anything?
No, that's what the bill does. I mean, it's a sticker that looks like a license plate, at least in the California program, and you put it around your bumper or something.
Is it as big as a license plate?
Not sure if it's exactly as big. It kind of looks like it might be, but it can be read by license plate readers, I believe, just like regular license plates.
So if it's going through a toll facility and they take a picture from the front and the back and you can see if they match?
Right. I believe that's the case. Yeah, I think it's encrypted.
It is a pilot program as well, and it does authorize MVA to do this. So it does put some onus on MVA to get it right. I mean, it's not like it's just forcing them to do something. They have some latitude here, right, Patrick?
Yeah.
That's the way I'm reading it.
And are there protections, like if it gets stolen, that it's treated like a license plate?
I don't know that somebody would have to like peel it off. I think it would be a lot harder to take something like that off than a license plate with a couple of screws. Like you have to like get in there with some spray nine or Fantastic and a razor blade to peel this thing off would be my guess, but I don't
know how it's affixed.
Yeah. Is anybody from MVA? I don't know, Pilar, do you want to take a stab at this, or is anybody from MVA can talk about it a little bit?
I believe April came from the MVA is on.
Yeah.
Yes.
she is.
I'm
April?
on. I'm
There
on.
she is.
Yeah.
Hi. So California does do this right now as an option. It is a wrap. So it's not just a sticker that goes on the front. That was one of my concerns at first. Like, we're just going to put a sticker on, but it's actually a wrap that wraps around the bumper.
The whole front bumper.
Correct.
Wow. So that.
So it's hard. So it's hard to pull off.
Right.
Yeah.
So you know how there's some decals that go around the car now, and it's like a wrap. You can literally change the color of your car with these wraps. So
Right.
this just wraps
Advertising,
around
yeah.
the front bumper.
And so far, so we would model it after that California program, and they've had some good luck with it so far, April, that you know of, or?
I think that there is an option out there in California. There's a couple of vendors out there. We've looked at it. I don't know about, the success of it. I would have to look into it a little bit more, but this just gives us the option to explore that for our customers.
Right, but it gives you the option to explore it, but it doesn't necessarily say you have to do it.
Correct.
Because it's authorizing. So if you can come up with a solution that works, great. And if you can't, that's okay too.
Correct.
Okay, Delegate Love.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think April answered half of my question. My first half was, how are the state agencies on this? And my second half is, how is law enforcement on this?
Well, we have not heard anything from the troopers at all this year, so I'm going to assume no news is good news.
Okay,
And
thank
if
you.
it's not, that's on them, not us. So,
Thank you.
sure, Delegate Foley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My questions are for Patrick, because I understand that they may establish a pilot program. But then there are a lot of shalls after that in the bill. I just want to be clear that this is all, I mean, I'm just a little, can you explain to me why this isn't mandatory? It reads like it is. There are a lot of shalls in the bill. So, for example, it says that they shall develop alternatives to traditional vehicle registration. That
If you look at the beginning, it says that
Authorize.
if they do a pilot program.
right, but then
That's
later it
program.
says the administration shall complete the pilot program. That's all under that they may develop a program.
Because it says if they do it, then these are the parameters.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Delegate Boyce.
I think I'm good. I'm doing one more read per, my questions are answered, but I'm doing one more quick read per Delegate Foley's
Okay.
question. But I think it's,
Right, and just to reiterate, April, this authorizes MVA to research and come into to research this as a as a possibility moving forward. And if you decide to do it, then all the shalls apply to what you must do if you decide to do it. And it still has that expiration of 2027, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Any more discussion on 13, 14? I think it's kind of a unique way of doing it because then hopefully. we
Move the
won't get-
bill.
All right, great, thank you.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Wonderful, bill carries. 1262 Monson Adams, Talbot County Speed Monitoring Systems intersection of Maryland Route 333 and Bonneville Avenue. This is the same bill that we passed last year. Is that correct, Patrick?
Yes,
Okay, and it hasn't changed?
not to my knowledge, no.
Okay,
I move
and
the bill.
great. Is there any amendments, Patrick? Are we clean?
No amendments on this.
Okay, so move the
Second.
bill. I have a first. Is there a second?
Second,
Any discussion on the bill? Great. House Bill 1262. I'm sorry. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
I'm opposed.
Okay, Delegate Jacobs is opposed. Any abstentions? Okay, House Bill 1262 passes. House Bill 1056, Learman, yeah, this is a big sponsor problem. Baltimore City, Maryland Transit Administration, transit services for public school students.
Wait,
That's not our bill.
that's not our bill.
Why do we have it on here then? This is,
It's
yeah,
not
this is
on
your
here.
bill.
It's not on here.
It's not
Not
on here.
on here.
Fine.
An old version. I printed out the new one for you.
Oh, I'm looking off the old one.
Playing with my eyes. I don't have my glasses on. I was about to get mad.
That got put on there somehow else. Okay, let's go. We have another 15 minutes, so thank you, subcommittee, for being so efficient. I want to go back up to a couple of pieces. Just very quickly, I think that we have, Delegate Foley, if you could please be very quick. I think we have amendments in the works. They're probably almost done. And I think that between all the work of the subcommittee, we have a deal that maybe not everybody's super excited about, but a deal that not everybody's super angry about either. And it kind of delays some implementation on some issues with the towing bill, which is HB 487. So I will tell you that the first part that I know that we talked about is actually delaying the implementation date of the per pound towing. So traditionally what's been going on is the towers can charge per pound. And the bill eliminates per pound towing. So what we thought would be a good solution would be to go ahead forward with the elimination of per pound billing, but extend the implementation date by a year. So that instead of it going into effect of October 1 of 2022, which would be this year, it would go into effect on October 1 of 2023, which would give the towers and the Motor Association and everybody a year to give them the time to sit down and hammer out what works on that particular piece. Then there's a couple of other pieces. Delegate Foley, that's accurate, right? That's that first piece. Everybody agreed to that.
Yes, so just to
And
be
then there's
clear,
another-
per pound billing stays in effect until 2023.
That's exactly right. Okay, and then as far as the cargo is concerned, the deal that you struck on that, Delegate Foley, is
Okay, so as far as the cargo is concerned, the bill will require no hold on the cargo, and the cargo will be released upon proof of ownership if the cargo does not belong to the transporting company. So if the cargo doesn't belong to the trucking company, it'll be released upon proof of ownership. And then also a letter from the insurance company stating that there's coverage for the relevant claim or accident. There's some specifications. I'm looking at the amendment now. If an insurance policy required under this is not high enough, then they can also submit an insurance company
right.
letter. If that's not high enough to cover it, the cost of the cargo cleanup, then a signed letter of guarantee from the transportation company will be provided. So in other words, if the insurance company doesn't cover the cleanup of the cargo, then the transportation company, i.e. the trucking company, is required to put a signed letter of guarantee that they'll cover those costs. And then the other part is that the towing company will release the vehicle to the owner or authorized agent. And this only is if there's a dispute over the bill. If there's a dispute over the towing company's bill, then the authorized tow company will release the vehicle to the owner on payment of 20% of the invoice while the dispute continues. And then, but the bill will also state that this does not eliminate the financial obligation eliminate the remainder of the financial obligation to the towing company. So in other words, they put a 20% down payment only if there's a dispute, and there is dispute resolution in the bill. But the bill states that it does not eliminate the obligation to the towing company. So once the dispute is resolved, then the trucking company has to pay the tower what the adjudicated bill is.
Okay, so those are the really big pieces that I think were outstanding. Those amendments are in drafting. I think they're almost done. I want to make sure everybody, before we go voting through them. I see Delegate Love, you have your hand up. We're not going to vote.
To confirm that those were agreed to by both parties.
Yes.
Thank you.
And can I ask one question about the dispute resolution? So there's a dispute, 20% is put down. The dispute is, because the dispute is usually over the cost and or the cargo, correct? Even though the cargo is let go, if someone can claim that it's theirs. So the dispute is settled. I'm guaranteed 80%, or I'm guaranteed what we have agreed to, what is owed of the 80%.
No, they put 20% down if there's a dispute. Only if there's
I understand that. Yep.
Yeah, 20% of whatever
that leaves 80%.
No, they put down 20% of what the disputed amount is. Okay, whatever it is. So, they're obligated to put down 20% on that bill.
Understood.
Okay? All right. Then the dispute is resolved. Okay, and whatever the bill is that comes out of the dispute resolution, that's what then they owe 100% of that bill. And of course, the 20% goes to the 100%, right?
I understand. That's what I'm saying. I'm talking about the remaining potential 80% is being disputed. So it could be that they agree that the 80% is due, or they agree that it's actually 60% is due, or whatever.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Andrea, do you have anything, or are we all good? Please tell me we're all good.
No, yes, Mr. Chairman, just one thing. Actually, my client does have a concern with only with the 20% deposit piece. I just wanted to make that statement. I know these are the amendments that you're discussing and going forward, but I just wanted to at least make the statement that yes, they do have a concern with that piece of the bill.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are in the 11th hour. So.
And let me ask Andrea, if I could, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
The issue with the cargo, is that all settled with everybody now?
Yes, with the release of the cargo and the additional language that Delegate Foley was just describing to you, yes, that piece has been resolved. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So we're going to come back tonight and we're going to vote this bill. We're going to vote this bill out based on all the amendments we just discussed. Hopefully tonight. It might be tomorrow morning, but we're gonna, depending on how long we're on the floor, we can just jam it out. I wanted to get it done so everybody will be tired, but we can get it out. Okay. And then last but not least is my clean cars bill. I just want to kind of go over where we are with it and see if anybody has any questions. Everything we pretty much agreed to last night, very broad strokes, but the amendments are in the works. So if anybody has any thoughts or concerns. So it is actually, I think, $10 million a year for the next 4 years. So a total of 40. That's something we have to fix. We were going to do a carve out what we talked about for heavy equipment, and we need to make sure we get the language right, but the heavy equipment would be for the forklifts and the backhoes, that new company that's moving in into Maryland, that we want to make sure that they're electrifying that piece. So we were going to set aside, of that 10 million a year, we were going to set aside $750,000 just for that industry. And then we were going to do an incentive of $10,000 per piece of equipment, because those pieces of equipment can be several $100,000. It's not like a car. It can be very, very expensive. We talked about this in broad strokes last night. Does anybody have any questions about that piece? Okay. And then the trucks, the big 18-wheelers or even just the smaller delivery trucks, we were going to put, what we talked about and what we thought about doing was setting aside, again, out of that 10 million, setting aside 1 million of that for trucks. And then the question is, how do we divvy up what truck, depending on weight, gets what amount of money? So we were thinking anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000 per truck, because these trucks can be north of $300,000. But I'm not necessarily fixed to any piece of this. I know MEA wants to have some flexibility in how they distribute those funds. But I want to talk with the subcommittee to see what their thoughts are on that piece. And Landon, I know you wanted to say something really quickly. So Delegate Healy, I see your hand up.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I just wanted to understand about what would the MEA do with their flexibility? I mean, if they got the flexibility they're requesting, what process would they use to make the determination?
It's a very good question. It's a very good question, Landon.
Certainly. So these are emerging markets, and what we envision is a competitive grant program over the course of the first few years. We would simply have essentially a pot of money, and then the grant solicitation goes out, the proposals come back, whichever provide the most benefit to Maryland would be accepted. So that could be any combination of the heavy duty equipment that the chair just spoke about, heavy duty, medium and heavy duty vehicles, and the specialized charging infrastructure they use. This could be, this could do yard vehicles and charging equipment for a port, or it could do delivery vehicles and forklifts for a distribution center. We would really do it on a case-by-case basis. And we believe that's most appropriate because this is an emerging market. We don't know specifically what the demands of that market are here in Maryland quite yet.
And if I could follow up, how transparent would this process be for people who want to apply for these grants? How will they know that they will be in the running for something?
Really, so we push all our grant program openings through the traditional channels as well as social media, and then reach out through legislators, other interested parties in the state, and then because this comes from the Strategic Energy Investment Fund, we actually line item each and every grant in an annual report. So after the grant awards are made, we do a public announcement, but then they're also literally line item in a report.
And so is it like an RFP? Do you ask people to apply for in a certain way, or?
Yeah, so, traditionally there would be areas of interest that, so we could form different, depending on what the bill ultimately allows, right? We would develop a number of areas of interest, which would be for different kind of vehicles or different kind of companies, and what benefits essentially they believe it would provide. So those would be, the transportation benefits of, for the company.
There's a last question is about accountability for this. After, if you're going to have all this flexibility, what is in place, or what do you think needs to be in place to keep you honest as an organization, that you're not, dealing with, your best friend or your brother-in-law and all that?
Sure. So, the selection committee is typically within MEA. We would find members of MEA, team members of MEA that aren't directly involved with the solicitation process. We also pull from other agencies, often MDE, because of the environmental factors in these kind of solicitations. On the reporting side, like I said, we do put a report every year where we line item. But on top of that, we're happy to come back in front of the committee at any time. We really appreciate the opportunity to speak with the relevant committees in Annapolis.
Thank you.
Delegate Boyce.
This may be a silly question, Landon, but do the dealers actually let individuals who would potentially buy one of these vehicles know that there's a credit? So
what the chair spoke about was, a specific dollar amount credit. MEA had suggested a program that would be, more open, as he said, provide flexibility. So essentially what it would be is, a company in Maryland could apply, or even a local government could apply.
Sure.
And then, if they awarded a grant, they're given a time to perform. So only after they got the grant, they could then, incur those additional costs that, with the understanding that once they performed within the requirements of the grant agreement, right, then they would get the chunk of money as a grant.
Okay.
So the only thing that I would suggest is that we just have Landon, you and I talked a little bit about this. We didn't talk about this piece, but I'd like some kind of guardrails on that, like how you divvy out that money. Just from some conversations I've been having for some folks. The 15,000, what would you say is really needed to be an incentive for some of these trucks? Is probably at least $15,000 if these trucks are $250,000 truck, right?
Yeah, I think on the class 8, like the long haul trucks, it's going to be a significant difference in price to the diesel alternative.
It's like 3 times, right? It's like $350,000 for one of these things.
Yeah, I would say at least 100% increase on those large ones, and then some of the other vehicles where we've got the heavy duty equipment, right? That could be more, the margin could be smaller. So I think that's what makes it difficult to determine up front and why flexibility is needed ultimately.
What if we came up with some language to suggest up to like a certain amount that you can divvy out per grant application? So if a company wants to buy 3, they can apply 3 times, but you can't give more than a certain amount per grant application. This is just me thinking, like, basically, if 15 isn't the number, maybe it's 20, and then say, okay, for each trucking company that comes to MEA and applies for this grant, you can give a maximum of $15,000 or $20,000 if you see fit. But putting a guardrail on it as opposed to wide open, I think the members of the subcommittee would feel more comfortable with something like that.
Understood. I think a wonderful way to do that would be to put a percentage on the incremental cost, right? So say, for example, like MEA could provide no more than 50% of the incremental cost.
The cost of the vehicle.
Right. So then if the incremental cost of the vehicle is 10,000, it would limit our grant to 5. If the incremental cost is 100,000, it'd limit us to 50.
Yeah, I mean, my only concern is that if it's a $300,000 vehicle and you write a check for $150,000, then you basically fund 6 or 7 vehicles and the money is completely gone for trucks.
Yeah, and that is the benefit of a competitive program, that if that is the proposal, and an alternate proposal is more trucks with lower incremental costs, that'll probably, that in all likelihood will provide a greater environmental and economic benefit to the state. So ultimately, those are the factors that we look for. And MEA we already operate a number of these competitive grant programs very successfully.
What does the subcommittee think about doing a percentage? I think that 50% is really, really high, but maybe like 10 or 15% or 20. What is the will here?
What is enough to make it an incentive, I guess? Rather than just a grant or gift.
It depends on the vehicle. I mean, if it's a $200,000 vehicle, then that's probably more like, I don't know. I'm thinking it's a percentage. That way it's equal. And then you can go up to that percentage if you want, Landon. You can go up to 20%, but not above. And then if you feel like it's not worth it, then you guys go to 15%. Delegate Jacobs.
Why don't you ask Louis Campion what he thinks a good number would be for trucks?
Because I know what Louis Campion is going to say.
What's he gonna say?
100.
Louis Campion. I know. Louis, did you want to chime in quickly? Because we got to run. Louis Campion going once, Louis Campion going twice. Okay. All right. Well,
No, I was just saying, not that you got to go with it, but it'd be interesting to hear what Maryland Motor Trucks idea would be on that number. That's all.
I will make some time to call him while I'm on the House floor.
You kind of think about if you're in the market for something, you're buying something, you think of it as a discount. I mean, if it's a 5% discount, maybe it's not worth it. You get what you like and you get something, but to take a risk, maybe you need like 15 or 20%.
I'll talk to Louis and we'll circle back. I think we're really close. The only other pieces that I want to mention is that, and Delegate Boyce, I don't know if you want to mention it. We were talking a lot about the MSRP cap. Currently, the way the bill is written, there's a $54,000 MSRP cap. There has been I will tell the subcommittee, there's been a really big push for that to be significantly, I don't mean a little bit lower, but significantly lower than $54,000. But Delegate Boyce, I don't know if do you want to talk a little bit about?
I strong arm some people. So I understood it because last year we had it at, it was $72,000, which I thought was incredibly high. And we brought it down to the 54. And this year I understand there's an initiative to bring it down even about to $10,000 less. But if folks up to $54,000 purchasing a vehicle up to $54,000 can get a credit, I understanding now that it's not buying a car at $54,000, it's buying a car up to $54,000. So I think we negotiated on $50,000, given the market of a new car, and the fact that it may continue to go up, and that something like 45 or 40 is just may not be enough to capture just about everybody, the folks who could afford it and those who would otherwise be interested in it. So I think we settled at $50,000, and I'm wondering if that is the will of the committee.
That sounds good to me.
Yep, sounds good to me too.
Good. I'm a lot happier with that as well because of exactly what Delegate Boyce said, and that is where the market is so crazy right now and unstable that gives a little bit of breathing room. I see a thumbs up from Paul Taberzi, right? I see a thumbs up from Paul. I don't see Josh anywhere. And Ashley, can I get oh, there's Peter. Ashley, is that good for you?
It's better.
Thank you. All right. I think that is it. Just FYI, $3K for the regular passenger vehicles, $2K for the three-wheelers. That's the Arcimoto, the two wheels in the front, the one wheel in the back, and $1,000 for two-wheel vehicles. That's pretty much where we've settled on everything. Those are the big broad strokes. Seems like everybody's into it. Patrick, is there anything else we need before some of us run over to housing and real property?
Just that we also have the amendments on the autism bill. So we may be able to do that too.
Yeah, I'm going to try and tack that on to the next committee hearings because I know I talked with Delegate Jones and she's super excited. And I think Rebecca was on the line earlier too. They've worked out all the deals on that, right?
That's my understanding.
So maybe we can vote that out tonight too. Or if not, in the morning. All right. You guys are all.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry. I have a
Thank you.
really quick question about clean cars.
Okay.
I just want to be clear that we're not talking about electric bicycles, right?
No.
Okay.
No, the
All right.
two-wheeled one would be electric. The two-wheeled one would be electric motorcycles, and that's only $1,000. Okay, thank you all. More to come. Thank you for being so awesome.